and a bro fist to you all, you wonderful, bright, shiny people out there. It is, of course, Wednesday. It's Workshop Wednesday, baby. Yes, it is. It's Workshop Wednesday, where I spend a good majority of my day and some of yesterday evening reviewing your videos and watching you play. On average, I watch something like 12 videos for a workshop. About 12. And then I pick 3 of those that I think fits a theme that we could do a workshop about. And I've done that today, which is pretty cool. A lot of you have started sending me MP4 files. Nope. Not happening. I'm not downloading MP4s. Nope. Put them on YouTube. It's far easier. It's far, far easier. Just upload them to YouTube. It takes seconds. Just leave it going in the background. I am not going to do that. Don't send me MP4s, like the raw file. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. Today's workshop is going to be focused on the idea of resources. What are resources, you might ask? Do you mean spells in the spell book? No. We kind of limit what we think resources are to something easy. And therefore we forget about it, right? We fuck it up, we goof it up. Resources are very simple things. We have them all the time. But managing them is kind of a fuck up. It's not that easy. It really is not. Before we get into it, I just want to tell you that next week I will be workshopping myself. I'd often workshop myself. I did this while I was raiding in heroic standards. I'd record myself playing and then I would watch it back and see where I could improve. It's a great way of improving your own play. So I'm going to be workshopping myself next week. Okay, I'm going to be doing that next week. I'm going to be doing one fight. I won't spend an hour on it or anything like that, but we are going to be workshopping myself. Getting back to the topic of resources. So while we're trying to maximize DPS, some of you come to me with crazy fucking ideas. I mean crazy things like, oh, I'm 40k DPS behind someone doing the same thing, wearing the same gear, but he has an int spirit gem and I have an int haste gem. Do you think I should regen? And that will give me 40k DPS. Things like this. I get these kind of questions all the time. Oh my god, he's got the same items as me, but his belt is reforged differently. Do you think that's what's causing this 30k DPS difference? Do you think that's what it is? And I'm like, well, obviously not, no. So people try and justify why they are lowering DPS to something that is out of their control. Right? That's what we try and do. Oh, it must be gear. We can't do this because of Blair, and that is out of my control. I do not have anything better to do it with. Perhaps if I had his belt, which is 1 item level higher, I will suddenly jump 40k DPS. I will suddenly just become this wondrous playing machine. And we all try and limit ourselves to this kind of idea. But resources is one of those things that just gets taken for granted. What are resources and what am I talking about? If you were, let's say, an Affliction Warlock, your resources are your soul shards. If you're a warrior, your resource is your rage. If you're a DK, of course, you have 2. You have runic power and runes, and such things like this. These are what we spend in order to throw our spells out there. Most of the time, I try and simplify this process for you by doing things like the add-on video that we put out yesterday, which tells you these are your spells, cast them as soon as possible, and in general, you're going to be really good. Okay? You're going to actually be really fine. But on top of that, we forget our normal resources. A lot of people ask me questions like, how did you do that? How does he have something like 1 million more casts than me? How did that possibly happen when I'm using the add-ons that you told me to do and blah, 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 blah. And more often than not, it comes down to simple resource management that we're just not taking much advantage of. So we're going to be looking at an Affliction Warlock. Great idea for resources. A Fury Warrior. And we're also going to look at a Mistweaver Monk who is from Stark Industries. And we're going to give special attention to that one because he's in Stark Industries. He joined the Baller Guild. Therefore, I am free to run wild on it. Yes, I have World of Locks. It's going to be a fun night. It's going to be a fun night. What to start on? What to start on? I'm going to start on the Warlock because it contains one of the most depressing things I've ever seen in my entire life. Any Warlocks in the chat right now? Can I get a holler from the Warlocks? Can the Warlocks give me a big holler? Can I get a big shout out from the Warlocks out there? Those raiding Warlocks that I know spread throughout the universe like a disease, quite literally. Oh, Shenron with a big holler there, right there. Oh, we've got lots of Warlocks here. Hey, Warlocks, you're about to get really depressed because I'm going to show you the saddest sight in the universe. Yeah, it's the saddest sight in the universe. When I saw this, I almost cried. And then it gets worse. But overall, it's actually pretty good. So we're going to do the first thing Is it green fire? No, it's not green fire. We're going to be playing, having a look at the UI, general things like that. This is an Affliction Warlock on the Shire of Fear in LFR. LFR is perfectly fine for you to send me things, especially if you're a DPSer. No problems, okay? No problems. Boom, in we go. Hello, and off our Warlock goes. He's looking good. He's called Warlockito. Sounds kind of Spanish. Sounds kind of Spanish. Let's skip onto the pull. The pull is there. There we go. And off he goes. He's doing his pull. He's doing his pull. He's doing his pull. He's doing his pull. Yes, I know. Who's the first going to say it? Who's the first going to say it? Who's going to say it? Somebody's going to say it. Rather large raid frames. Raid frames are too big. Can be distracting. Raid frames. What the fuck? No soul swap. I'm a buster cap. Sweet mother of grid frames. Raid frames are huge. Not utilizing his procs. That's not the Shah. Whatever. You know, that fucking Empress. Empress. There you go. Empress. Where's his shards? Ah! Good call by Mr. Frankie there. This actually baffled me for some 10 minutes. And I had to get Genji to check it because I couldn't find it anywhere. Where the fuck were your soul shards? And it was driving me crazy. Absolutely crazy. I couldn't find it anyway, but they are there. I'm not going to tell you where because some of you will... it is on there. It is on there. When you find it, when you see it, good. Let me change the overlay. What the hell? Oh my god. Ugh. Disgusting. Let's go. Other comments about the UI. A couple of things to point out there. I'm going to let it play so you guys can see things like shards. We've got the damage duplicated. Don't like that. If you're going to have it nice and tidily over one side of your screen, this is great. Out of the way, nothing interfering, nothing sticking in your face. Oh my god! Giant damage numbers all over the middle of your screen. You can get rid of that. Raid frames are kind of big. Raid frames are kind of big, and yes, the chat has spotted it. The soul shards are here. They're very, very small. They're too small. Okay? And that's going to fuck you up later in the fight. They're too small. The fact that I couldn't even find them annoyed me. I couldn't even find them. It took me ages and ages to find them. It was one of the first things I noticed too. And it is going to cause problems later on, but that's okay. But yeah, grid's a little bit too big, but nothing overly, let's be honest, there's nothing overly wrong here. We could maybe use with our health frames and our soul shards being a bit bigger, but in general, the UI is actually fine. There's nothing over the top here besides maybe this damage thing. And by the way, if you see that you're AoEing the whole raid and your dissonance field appears right next to you, don't run away from it. Okay, and continue to AoE the whole raid. It's not very swobu. It's not very baller-like to do that. It's just not cool. It's just not cool. Okay, so UI and stuff's fine. In fact, his gameplay is actually alright. There's nothing major there that I would go, oh my god, this needs a workshop, right? It seems pretty cool. Resource management, that is the theme of what we're going on here. Resource management for an Affliction Warlock is, quite frankly, on par with healers. Affliction Warlocks kind of have this extra burden that other DPSers don't really have. And that's that they need to know exactly what goes on at each stage of the fight in order to maximize their DPS. Because of soul shards, and the way soul shards work, and regenerating soul shards. I invite all of you Warlocks to often follow and subscribe to the YouTube channel for Spark Uggs. He's quite literally probably the best Warlock in the world. He's amazing. And then watch him play any fight as Affliction. He always has everything he needs all the time. And that's not by coincidence, not by accident. It's because he knows every single stage of the fight and he knows what he needs to do. In this fight, there are several things that we need to be sure of. One of them is that we need certain soul shards for certain areas. Of course, we want to do that mad burst at the beginning of the fight, right? But we also have an AoE phase. What does an AoE phase say to an Affliction Warlock? Oh, things to drain soul. I can regenerate my shards here. So I can kind of manage this into the fight. It's something you need to bear in mind all the time. Every time you go into a new fight as an Affliction Warlock, you need to understand, okay, every couple of minutes when my buff is up, my DPS buff, I need to make sure I've got shards for that, because of course I want to burst and make sure I've got all my haunts and stuff up. Are there adds where I can get a lot of shards, which means I can spend more earlier in the fight, or do I need to save shards because I don't get to regenerate a lot of them later? All these things really matter, because the more shards, the more haunts, the more dotting, the more, and it just all flows together in a really synergetic way. It's a really powerful aspect that we're going to see falls apart here. And it's kind of a shame. It's kind of a shame. So we're going to go into it. And now Warlocks, I'm going to take us to there. This is going to be really upsetting for any Affliction Warlocks. So as you can see, we're pretty fine. Now, what's about to happen? Come on, guys. What is about to happen? What is about to happen? Come on, it's that easy. Psh. You know what's going to happen. .ui. Dark Soul up, but no Haunts ready. Now, this is interesting. There's a comment well spotted there. His Dark Soul is ready. He's got his DPS cooldown ready. Now, he's saving it. He's saving it. Because retreat is about to happen, as Vanishly said. We're about to get the ads phase. So, in order to pad the meters a little bit, why the hell not? And also to make sure he kills the ads quickly, whichever way you want to look at it. There's a justification for everything, right? One man's padding is another man's DPS boost and helping the fight in some way. We're about to get retreat, AoE phase, and he's saving his Dark Soul for that. He's saving his DPS cooldowns for the AoE phase. Why the hell not? It's LFR, right? You want to have some fun. And that's okay. So he's aware it's going to happen. This is not the first time our friend has seen this fight. It's not, and this is the proof because he knows it's about to happen. So we're going to play it. And off we go. It's going to happen in round about... Yep, it's going to happen in about 6 seconds time. It's going to happen in about 6 seconds time. So you see the Dark Soul's ready. But there's a huge problem that isn't going to be solved. And this makes me cry. Are you watching? Oh, I can't bear to watch. Oh my god. Oh no. Oh. Oh. I feel sick. Every time I watch that, I feel sick. I feel absolutely sick. There is nothing sorrier than watching an Affliction Warlock individually corruption tent mobs or whatever it is. It makes my heart ache so desperately. It really does. So desperately, in fact, I'm going to make you watch it again. Oh, yeah! Why? Because I can. Because you need to feel my pain. You need to feel my pain. Oh, 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 corruption, corruption, corruption for you, 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 corruption for you. And now we'll start to see the corruption again. Oh my god! It's so painful to watch. That haunt, man. That one haunt just before retreat. That one haunt that you shouldn't have cast, right? Right? The problem was that he doesn't know Soulburn Seed of Corruption doesn't exist. He used all his shards just before retreat. And you know he was praying for that Nightfall. That haunt just fucked your DPS for the whole fucking fight. Just fucked it. He knows what it does. He knows what it does, but his resource management failed him massively. If I'm getting close to the percentage where this boss is about to disappear, the last thing in the fucking universe I am going to do is burn that one last soul shard, because there is a good chance it's not going to regenerate. And it's horrific. It's absolutely painful to see. And this is a big thing about Affliction Warlocks, is that you can either live in absolute heaven, because you have all this opportunity to AoE, to regenerate your soul shards and do absolutely crazy DPS. Affliction Warlocks are a big problem in World of Warcraft right now. A big problem. And the problem is soul shards, soul burn, soul swap. It's a huge problem. A problem that's causing headaches everywhere. They've nerfed them constantly. They still perform really well because a good Affliction Warlock who can control his soul shards, has good resource management, is able to do things that shit all over you. The average Warlock with a little bit of soul shard management ends up in situations like this, and the DPS kind of balances out. If you can resource manage your soul shards properly, you're in great times. So we're going to continue on while I talk about this. And he obviously starts regenerating his shards up, and he starts multi-dotting everything, and you can see he's getting to sort of a nice way. He's got lots of corruptions up, which are giving him lots of nightfalls. Any Affliction Warlock will have been here before. You start getting tons and tons of procs, and then you can see the DPS starts to pick back up. I just want to point out, I don't want you to underestimate how bad a moment this is. for your DPS. I want you to watch the DPS meter. I want you to watch what happens when this occurs, okay? This multi-dotting moment. Here's the retreat. Now, he's got his mouse over it, but he's actually 5th on the DPS right now. Now, he can't AoE. Everybody else in that raid is AoE. And you'll just see everybody catches way the fuck up. Down to 6th. And everybody is evening out. All catching straight up to him. Down to 7th. He loses many places. Many places. And it's not even the fact that he lost the places. Is that before this, he was a good 0.5% in front. He lost all that. He was, well, you can't see it. But he lost 0.5%. He was a good chunk ahead. And then he lost all of it. And everybody else caught up to him. He lost so much damage because of one soul shard. And that's how quickly it can fuck you up as Affliction. One soul shard lost completely screwed you over. You know what's worse than that? When you do it again on the next pack. Yeah. Oh, no. Oh, you're saying to me, Preacher, it can't be true. It can't be true. It can't happen twice, right? It can't happen twice. Surely it doesn't happen again. But you know, right? There's the Nightfall. Now, when I was watching this, he's about to go into his second retreat. And there was the Nightfall proc. There's the Soul Shard right there. It's there. I honestly said to myself, please, for the love of God, you just learnt your lesson on the last pack. Okay, you've seen it happen. You felt that burn where your DPS just plummeted. Do not cast Haunt. Please, for the love of God, do not cast Haunt. Don't do it, please. Please, please. And there's that fucking Haunt, man. Ah! God damn! Ah! And there it is, in all its glory. And there it is, in all its glory. And boom, off it goes. Retreat, boss disappears. And of course, we deal with it the only way we know how. And that is to individually put corruption on every single goddamn mob. Again here, we are still not really picked up our DPS from last time because everybody else has got so far ahead. And it just continues to be that way. And we lose, I'm not joking, where you're losing something like 10 or 20, probably 20k DPS, because there's the amount of time it's taking you to corrupt all these. If you look from when the AoE starts, let's watch that Haunt again. That's when the Haunt starts there. That's what screws you over, just casting that Haunt. And here come the mobs. And during all this, people are AoEing. People are doing tons and tons of AoE, and you've not even started yet. Still going with the AoE, and you've not started. You haven't started yet, and then you start. It's like 10 seconds. It's like 10 odd seconds of complete annihilation that you're just not even part of. You're just not even part of it. You're just not taking part in the fight. You're not even there. You're putting corruption on individual mobs, which is one spellcast. That's what that is to a Warlock. An Affliction Warlock is one spellcast. He's taking you 8 global cooldowns to do that, while everybody else is just crushing. Everyone else is just dominating the whole fight, as they should be. And this resource management is something Affliction Warlocks need to drill into your brains. Seriously, you need to drill this motherfucker in there, because you'll end up in this situation where you lost tons of damage and DPS time. It just all went to shit. Every single last piece of it went to shit. All because of that Haunt. That Haunt, my friends. That Haunt. You have to think about it. You have to. This is only a minor example. There are fights out there now. Horadon especially is great for Affliction Warlocks. Affliction Warlocks look at things in different ways. Good ones love fights like Horadon and Elegon. They absolutely adore them. There are a million ways I can regenerate full shards if I play correctly. I need one fucking tick of my Drained Soul to get all my shards back, and I can continue to do crazy, crazy goddamn things throughout a fight. Other guys look at all this kind of stuff and think, oh, there's so much to micromanage. How can I possibly deal with this? And that's the mindset you need to get over. If you are comfortable with shard management, to the point that every time Bloodlust, every time your Dark Soul comes up, you've always got 4. You can multi-dot the world. and you've still got shards just feeding into you constantly, the DPS ramps up massively, which is why they're a problem right now in World of Warcraft, the Affliction Warlocks. But overall, shard management, got to get on top of it, It goes on to finish the fight quite well, but that is the big thing, is shard management. So from that fight, I know you don't plan out your shards, and Warlock should be doing that. You should be looking, especially after you do your first fight. Okay, if you've never done a fight before, let's say you're doing normal mode Throne of Thunder now, and you have a general idea of what happens, but not really sure how it plays out. Big difference between the Dungeon Journal and actually being there is you always keep a shard ready, just in case. It's the best way of doing it for your first time out is, I need a shard because I'm not quite sure when things line up here. I kind of want that shard. You might have DPS might suffer ever so slightly. Overall, you're only lagging behind by 1 shard, okay, as the fight progresses. But keeping that shard on hand, really handy. And then next time, you actually write down, trust me, do this, is get yourself a piece of paper. How long does the fight last? When do certain things happen? When can I regenerate my shards? Plan it out. The next time you go in there, you're going to kick some ass and take some fucking names. And that's what we want you to do. That is absolutely what we want you to do. The next chappy chap we're going to look at is Fury Warrior, yeah, who appears to be tracking Black Prince rep. I know not why, but whatever. He's going to be doing Sulong. Not many people send me videos of Sulong. I quite like the Sulong fight. Lots going on, lots of interesting things. And I always kind of bias towards the Warriors, having been a Warrior for such a long time, is that bloodthirsty, evil. We talked about this in the last workshop. Fucking angry class. The class works quite well with its rage mechanic, getting angry and Hulk smash and all that kind of things. As usual, we're going to kick off the fight looking at the UI so you guys can draw your own conclusions about anything that may or may not be actually causing a problem straight off the bat. So off we go. Bum, 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 bum. I think you guys will enjoy this UI. Oh. What say you? Raid frame's too big? What about on the top of the screen? That text, yes. Yes, Mugged has got that one. That text, fuck that combat text. There's another problem. No one's really pointed it out yet, I don't think. Is he tracking stuff? Interesting. Big Batty's kind of closer. Spammy text, yeah. The one person on the raid frames is really bothering you. DPS frame big enough. We know why we have the big DPS frame, Vin. You know that. No class colors, text hiding DPM. Another issue. Nobody's really spotted it yet, which I find kind of interesting. Banner not tracking Colossus Smash. We're not tracking anything, so that is a definite issue. Tell me when missing. Nobody else seems to notice that the largest button on his screen is the stance. My mouse pointer is bigger than the Raging Blow icon. My mouse pointer is bigger than Bloodthirst, Colossus Smash, and more importantly, the completely unused Bloodbath and Dragon's Roar. These are the world's smallest buttons. Ever. I'm sorry, Lefox, if I missed that. I'm sorry, Lefox, if you said that. These are the world's smallest buttons. If you're only going to use the buttons, they need to be bigger than that. Easily, because they need to stand out. Because I don't understand the choice between. Let me just see if I can get a crit heal to appear, because it did make me laugh a little bit when you got crit healed. It was like, fuck yeah, I got crit healed, and you know it. Boom! Did you really need to know that you got a 13,000 heal from Kill Ganon from Malfurion's server? But you weren't sure whether or not that Colossus Smash or Bloodthirst was about to come off cooldown. That is a decision-making process that I'm not completely clear on. About the thought that went into that. As like, I need to know that Kil'jaeden Malfurion healed me for 13k, but I'm not sure if my spells are off cooldown yet. Therefore, I don't use them. Like my DPS cooldowns, I just don't use them. It's a huge problem that we run into here. The other one is, again, is the theme of resources. We're going to get into, we're going to do it step by step. The first things first, UI, dude, what the fuck? We need to sort this bad boy out. 9 Dread Shadows is the biggest thing on your screen. It's also there, it's duplicated, you're not going to miss that. This needs to go. Whatever this fucking add-on is that is spamming your face with healing and stuff is just absurd. Absolutely absurd. You do not need that information ever, right? You never do. I cannot imagine in phases of huge AoE healing what your UI looks like. But I can only imagine it's horrific. Because all the information, this is the most important part of your screen, right here. All this information is just what you're being healed for. I find that completely bizarre. The most important piece of information that you're getting right now is what people are healing you. And I find it's absolutely the most distracting thing in the universe. It really, really is. These buttons either need to be made bigger, but if you prefer small buttons, then please, for the love of God, use something like the tell me when thing. Okay, so things that are important pop up on your screen and then disappear. And keep your UI clean. The UI is pretty clean besides that text. It's very odd. That combat text is very, very strange. I don't actually mind the rest of it. I actually like small buttons. My buttons in particular are pretty small. But I also have big obvious things that pop up and disappear when going on. And what this leads you to do is just completely miss out on spells. Because they're in bizarre places. They're in absolutely bizarre places. You can see over here, DPS cooldowns are located some ways over here. And then we've got these spells here. Now, you have to be looking here in order to see these. You have to be, because you're not a spamming player. There's a couple of things we've noticed in workshops. Is some people are spamming their same spells over and over and over and over again. But you're not. You're taking it very calm, very cool, very collected. Just clicking whatever you need to be clicking. That means your gaze must be down at the bottom of your screen, which is probably why the healing text doesn't bother you, right? You see how that works? This healing text to an outsider is fucking crazy. It doesn't bother you too much because your view is down at the bottom of your screen where it's actually relatively nice and tidy. Where it should be where the healing text is. And that's one of these big issues. Now, I was talking about resource management. That's the general theme of today. Resource management for a warrior is rage. Our rage, okay? We need to keep an eye on our rage. We can set ourselves simple goals like I never want to rage cap. But in order to do this, I hate, by the way, that you popped Skull Banner, you had Stormlash, Recklessness, Bloodbath. Oh, you pressed it. It doesn't matter. I thought you didn't place this Bloodbath, but you pressed it last. Okay, I'm going to let this slide. Is we run into a horrible, horrible situation, and it occurs in now. We just can't press anything for a long period of time. See how long that is? It's an eternity, in fact. It's an absolute eternity. Everything was going swimmingly until now, and we couldn't do anything. We just had to sit and wait for our Bloodthirst cooldown to happen. Rage management is absolutely vital for a warrior. You need to control your rage very, very well. You need to know exactly what's happening with your rage. At this point, you ran out of rage, and the obvious thing that happened is literally just before, when you were on low rage, for some reason, you pressed Heroic Strike. That completely goofed your next 20 seconds of DPS. A single misplaced Heroic Strike fucks you up badly. Really does, because it sucks the life out of your character. It really does. It screws you up big time. And you just end up sat there just kind of whacking away aimlessly, and you can't do anything with your character. What happens is things like trinkets proc, all this kind of stuff goes on, and you can't do anything with it. You have all these powerful things going on around you, and you can't do anything because of that one Heroic Strike. That one haunt that we saw in Affliction Warlock just goofs you up for extended periods of time. And then you're screwed over. You're absolutely well and truly screwed over. And we can see it happen here. As if I go to... It's just before. That's when he ran out. Here, we were fine. We had 67 rage. We were good. Went down to 41. And then we got the Bloodthirst, which was fine. And then we're up to 60. Colossus smashed. Raging Blow, and then there, we just slipped in that extra Heroic Strike. We just tried to squeeze it in. Now we've left ourselves in a situation where we've got things like Colossus Smash on, and we can't do anything with it. And we wasted that entire Colossus Smash debuff, which is a huge thing for a Fury Warrior. We just wasted it. It just went nowhere. We couldn't do anything with it. It's like having a huge gaping vagina and we just can't get hard. It's pointless. It's pointless. You might as well go home. Forget about it. It's over. But then, as we see as we go throughout this fight, is we'll see that because of these tiny, 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 super small fucking buttons, which suck balls, is we actually forget to use our DPS cooldowns. We come to here, you can see Bloodbath and Dragon Roar, and they stay kind of off cooldown for ages. They just stick around with us for absolutely ages. And I want to show you here is where the opposite occurred, because we have no semblance of control over our rage. Right here, as we lead up to it. Now we're in the totally opposite situation. We rage capped. We rage capped here, but this time we didn't even bother. We're actually going to bloodthirst and rage cap again. We're completely rage capped right there. And we just don't know it. We have no possible idea about our rage. It's not something we're thinking about. We're prioritizing, I need to press bloodthirst on cooldown. Yes, you do. I need to press my Colossus Smash. I need to press this. I need to press that. We're so focused on the spells that we're forgetting that the point of the spells is to control our resource, which is rage. And in doing so, we're either draining all our rage away so we can't do anything, or we're swimming in rage and we're capping it constantly. And we're just sat in this world of bullshit where I either have millions of ammunition, no guns, or I've got this giant fucking gun and no bullets, right? And it's just, either way, it's just a massive cock-blowing suckfest. It just drives me crazy when I see this happening, because we're just not paying attention to the simplest thing. How much rage do I have? That's it. That's all we need to know about. How much rage do I have? And then we can make decisions based on that. Pressing our buttons, we do it every day. You do it during every daily, every raid. We get used to it very quickly. How much rage have I got? I don't know. How much rage have I got? I have no idea. I just spam whatever I'm doing. And it's crazy. A couple of other things we want to look at. What time are we on? 30. Still need to do the start guy. Is this. We are a good player. We like to reset our dread shadows. Yeah. We got some warriors in the chat. Got some warriors in the chat. Yeah? We got some warriors. Got some warriors. I'd like to know how warriors deal with this situation. We want to reset our dread shadows. We want to reset our dread shadows. And we're going to do something which... We're a warrior. We have certain advantages over other players. One of them is mobility. This makes me really sad. Is we're resetting and we shuffle, baby. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. Reset. Shuffle, 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 shuffle. No, 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 dude. You a warrior. You a warrior. You don't shuffle. Warriors do not shuffle under any fucking circumstances. Warriors don't shuffle. If I'm moving somewhere as a warrior, you better believe I'm Forrest fucking Gump. I am gumping the shit out of it. Because I'm a warrior. I can bounce around like a pinball for like 20 seconds. And I'm going to take full fucking advantage of it, okay? If I have to move 5 feet, you better believe I'm coming down with a crashing Hulk smash all over its face. I'm serious. You do not shuffle as a warrior. If you're shuffling, you're fucking it up, okay? You're fucking yourself, you're fucking your DPS. The amount of time you're away from that boss, it makes me, it's physically nauseating. Okay? I'm only kidding, of course. But in these situations where you need to move as a warrior, leap, intervene, charge. You should have leapt, charged, back. The boss didn't even know you were gone. Nobody knew you were gone. You were like a shadow. You were fighting the jacuzzi. You were out. You were in. You were back. You were done. What? We want to get out there. We want to get it done. And every time you do that, it's just... and yeah, I know it's LFR, but that's not the point, right? It's not the point. It's not the point at all. And you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. You need to be out, in, all the time. We do not shuffle. We do not shuffle. Now, this will go on, is we're being cool again. We're being cool, we're being nice. We're being nice guy warrior. We're never nice guy warrior. We are not... Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. We are never nice guy warrior. There are no such thing as nice guy warriors. Nice guy warriors finish last every single time. Nice guy warriors don't win. We don't. You come last. That's what you do as a nice guy warrior. You like damage. Hell, we like damage as a warrior. Makes us angrier. We do more damage. We like that kind of thing. As such, it moves us on to our next theme. Is around about 3 minutes we're going to run into this situation. Is here. I've never been comfortable with any player. One of the big things, I'll tell you this is absolutely true. When I had a new recruit in my raid, I always watched if they played too nicely. I did. It's a sign of a bad player, or an average player. Not a bad player, but an average player. An average player plays too nicely, and will not be there for the clutch moments when you need to get that kill. They are people who do things which I would never do. One of those things is wait for mobs. I want to stay in the safety zone. I want to stay in the safety net. I want to stay in my blankie of the raid. If I stick myself amongst all the healers all the time, then I'm going to be okay. True. It's like people on the highway or the freeway or the motorway who stay in the middle lane. It's safe, it's comfortable, I'm happy being there. Everything's cool and nice and relaxing. I don't go in the middle lane. Fuck the middle lane. Middle lane's for losers. And warriors or DPS of any kind, don't do that. If you are melee and the DPS and you've got some free time, there's no mobs up, but you know the mob is going to spawn yonder, you should be yonder, right? You should be over there. The only time you need to gather up with the guys when you need to go back to the beer fest is because that's the only thing left to do and there's nothing else to do next. What we don't want to do is be nice guy warrior where we kill this mob, fine. Now a solid warrior who I want in my raids has killed that mob and never loses a target. What happens here is just like we sit with our thumb up our ass and we don't kill anything. We're a warrior that isn't killing anything, okay? Always using your camera. This is still a workshop. Always using your camera. What's next? I killed this. It's dead. I've slaughtered it. What's next? And where do I need to be? That's what a DPSer is about. That's what you need in your raids. I killed this. It's done with. What's next? Because it needs slaughtering. I need to cut the fucking head off something because I'm a DPSer. I'm here to do damage. It's my role. And you should be looking everywhere. If you're in a point where there are mobs alive, and you are not targeting anything like this, sucks. You're shuffling again. We're shuffling. And now we start some damage, which is cool. We're starting some damage, but I can see the health. Perhaps your unit frames could help you out. And now here, when I get to this percentage, all that's in my mind is, what the fuck is next? Because I want to kill things. Every second I'm not DPSing, I'm just losing. Because somebody else will kill it for me. I don't like that. If it's up there to be killed, I'm going to kill it. Okay? We're caveman. We're caveman style at DPSer. So right here, you should be looking around. Okay, there's mobs everywhere. Is there any not going to be killed? What we don't do is this. We don't stop DPSing. And there we go. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. There we go. We DPS something again. We go all that period of time just waiting. Ranged will take care of that. Ranged are shit. Golden rule of raiding. Melee believe that all ranged DPSers are pussies. Are pussies who don't have the balls to play melee. Because melee is the harder way to DPS, right? Every melee I know thinks the ranged team in the guild is a big bunch of wet fannies. They do. They hate them. The ranged DPS think the melee are idiots because ranged can DPS everything without even having to move. And we rock. Ranged have never, ever been passed over for ever any fight in the history of World of Warcraft. Ever. Malagos, we salute you. 1 melee, 2 melee, only DKs for death grit, thanks. Melee, get out. Ascendant Council, melee, go home. Not wanted. Ranged think melee are fucking idiots. Melee think ranged are absolute toolbox pussies because they're not in the mix. It's true. I've never been in a melee group for any serious guild who did not believe the casters were pussies, and I've never joined a caster channel who didn't think the melee were complete fucking morons for playing melee. Why would you do that? I could do more damage than you, and I'm not stood in the crap all the time. I can see the screen. Right? That's the way it rocks and rolls. That is how the game works, and that's the people's belief. If you're going to be nice guy DPSer, who's like, oh, my range team's pretty cool, they'll take care of it. No. Because the casters are pussies, and they're bound to screw it up. So us melee guys, who are the tough hard cases, we better go and justify why the fuck we're here and clean up after these caster pussies, right? That's not exactly how it works, but that's the mentality that should go on. Nice guy DPS. Pfft, give me a break. Not if you want to win some... What if you want to win? Winning is all about cheesing in World of Warcraft. Not just cheesing meters, but making sure you pick up the other slack. Look at this. We're not DPSing. We've got leap. We've got charge. Finally a charge. Yeah. Kill it. Kill it. Kill it. Leap. 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 Go everywhere. Over there. You should be over there now. Look at this giant thing. This is what your camera is all about. Look how quickly I spotted that. Okay? This is what I'm doing. If I'm playing this warrior now, it's like, right, I've got to kill these. I'm going to whirlwind the shit out of them. Now I'm out of there. I'm gone. I'm up to the next mobs. I'm already there. If I'm playing this warrior, I'm already there. I've already killed this motherfucker. I've leaped to the next one up north. I've leaped to it. And now he's dead. And I can see this spawning on the left side. And there I am. I'm already DPSing this. I've got aggro on it. I've got aggro on it. Do you know what I mean? Where's the tank? If I can get there, the tank should get there. That's a DPSer. Why have I got aggro on this? If I can see it, tank can see it. That's how it rocks. That's how it rolls. So, a few things there. Rage management. Really need to work on that. There was lots of points up and down where you either just screwed over your rage because you heroic striked with when you hardly had any. So you barely had enough to heroic strike and you did it anyway and you were like, ugh. Okay. So, on other times you were just swimming in rage where you refused to heroic strike. And that left you just capping rage all the time. It's just a loss of DPS. You could have casted more spells. Simple as. We could have cast more spells with that material. Other than that, aggression. A DPSer needs to be aggressive. Get out of the comfort zone. Just because all the healers are chilling out. Healers are pussies anyway, right? They don't deal with the big thing. It's all don't stay in there. If you can get out of there, watch me raid sometime. I barely ever group up with the raid unless I absolutely have to. I don't like it. I want my own space. You know what happens when I group up with other people? They fuck me up. They get the debuff. They don't move. They don't move quick enough for me. I don't like it. I want to be on my own. I do. When I'm raiding, I want to be on my own. And that even counts for melee. You don't have to all sit on one place. Melee's hitboxes around bosses is huge. You'll find me stood as far away to the side of the boss as I can do comfortably without him going out of range. I want to be on my own because other people goof me up. I believe in myself. I think other people are going to screw me up. That's my mentality. Other people screw me up more than I screw myself. And that's okay. That's fine. That's how I want to be. Just get out of the comfort zone. Get out of the middle lane. Don't middle lane. Don't middle lane. Right. Stark Industries. Now, I'm going to forewarn you. We're going to look at a Mistweaver Monk now. And we're going to talk a little bit about resources. Now, I'm not a great, by any means, Mistweaver Monk. But I do know two that have ridiculously high skill rankings and world first kills under their belt. Therefore, I sent your video to them. You can thank me later. And they sent me back, actually, pages and pages of notes. Pages and pages of notes. But before we get into that, and we're going to look at some World of Logs, we're going to watch this play. Now, it's not the best quality. I'm sorry for that. It's not the best quality. There's not much I can do about that. We're going to look, this is a Stark Industries raid of normal mode Megara. I believe it's a sweet kill, I think. Their first kill, I believe their first kill. I was just looking for some hints and tips. So we're going to look at the UI. Now, it's not particularly clear. That's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. Boom. Ah! Too big map. Too big map. Oh, you use Voodoo, yeah. It's actually a slight variation on the Affinity UI, I believe. As you see, the moving around is not particularly clear, but we can see what he's casting. Megara got nerfed again, really. Tracking objectives. Da, da, da. Your eyes hurting your eyes. Okay. Few things. Now again, I just want to point out for this one, I am going off the notes of the other guys. They know more than I do. I have no problem ever admitting that. Few things we're going to notice here is a couple of things that they both agreed was really annoying them immensely. And that was the lack of tracking Renewing Mists on the players. Renewing Mists, obviously, absolutely incredibly retarded in its style of play. But that's okay. That's okay. That's fine. But we weren't tracking. He had one of the big comments I got about this was that he's tracking lots of good stuff, but not two of the most important things that you need to track. Or three, I should say. Firstly was Renewing Mists on the raid. Like, who has Renewing Mists? They found it very, very important to track who's got renewing mist and to make sure 10 was up for Rampage, which is the big healing moment in this fight. The other one was the actual cooldown of renewing mists. There's lots of things being tracked here that have cooldowns. Renewing mist isn't one of them, which is the spell that needs to be on cooldown all the time. And the other one was Expel Harm. Expel Harm, of course, being the most mana-efficient spell in the game to generate chi. These two spells need to be on cooldown constantly. Now, we do an overall pretty good job of keeping those on cooldown, but they are not part of our UI. As you can see here, I'm going to play the video a little bit, is you can see that we've got things tracked on the left and we can see how many renewing mists are up, but the actual cooldown of renewing mists and Expel Harm is down at the bottom. Now, we delay them ever so slightly for a few seconds on a pretty regular basis. This leads to just overall less renewing mists, overall less Expel Harms, less chi, all this kind of thing. All works in together, and again, it's all about resources. What resources do I have at my command to make the best use of how to do this fight? Okay, so all this these two simple things. We have actually a very nice UI. I actually think it's pretty cool, but we need to add those things because if we're going to have something so vitally important like Expel Harm and Renewing Mists, and we need, and I mean seriously need, to use them on cooldown, then we have to be tracking them effectively. We have to have an effective tracking on them. We really need to do that. The next thing that was kind of important is they both noticed that in this fight, although it is a kill, the monk goes and both of them didn't understand that. And Mr. Weaver's overpowered or what? They were like, he went How is this possible on a monk? What am I seeing here? He went How did that happen? So we went to the logs. Use of efficient spells is how we live and breathe and bread and butter of a healer, okay? What are our most efficient spells in the whole game? Those are the ones we need to do more and more. Using his mana tea and all that kind of stuff. But what we actually run into is a situation where we started using some expensive spells, but at the same time, didn't use really, really cool spells. So I'm going to let this play through another rampage so you can get an idea. And maybe some of you can point out something that, if you've watched any monk videos recently, especially if you've watched any of Blood Legion's heroic kills, there was a spell that you will have noticed is just retardedly overpowered, and Petrol has already called it quite immensely, is Chi Torpedo. Chi Torpedo. Chi Torpedo is completely retarded. Monks know it. Blizz probably knows it. It's absolutely the most ridiculous spell right now, and both monks totally agreed that it's just idiotically good. It's idiotically good. So I took it to the logs, because we did see a couple of Chi Torpedoes, but we didn't see many, and this is where it comes into, what am I using as my spells? Okay, World of Logs. What am I using as my spells? So this is that fight. This is the fight in particular that we just looked at, okay? Now, obviously, as a healing fight, it's not overall entertaining to watch, but we'll see a little bit more later. And we started looking down as to what we actually cast throughout the fight. I'm gonna say something right now, which is pretty cool for the player in question, is that overall, he actually did very, very well in terms of his cooldowns, better than a lot of the monks we compared him to. So you should be very proud. You actually did really, really well. Things like Life Cocoon we used as many times as possible. Used a couple of extra spells. Now, one of the big things the 25 guys didn't notice was, like, he used Surging Mists, because they don't in 25-man, but of course in 10-man. We had a big discussion about this video. You can see Surging Mist was cast 7 times, which just sucks the life out of your mana. One of the big reasons why you went They said, this is the phrasing, and I correct it not. If I have to cast Surging Mists, I'm kicking the Paladin from the raid. It's kind of different in 10-man a little bit, but if they said if I had to cast 7 Surging Mists, I'm kicking the Paladin. Because that should not happen. Hey, not my words. But Chi Torpedo needs to be cast a lot. Now, comparatively, how powerful is Chi Torpedo? Chi Torpedo should be somewhere around number 3 of your healing done. Now, I want you to compare this to the same 10-man fight by somebody else. There's his Chi Torpedo. Number of hits, 98. Number of hits with their Chi Torpedo, 14. Now, look how much healing is done with that. 832,000. Chi Torpedo there. 6.5 million healing. 6.5 million healing. That is an astronomical difference. And it's all about knowing what resources we have. It's exactly the same fight. Similar geared Mistweaver Monk. Okay? Exactly the same. And it's knowing how our resources work. This spell, super cheap, 6.5 million healing for one in the same fight, exactly. Exactly the same fight. For our other monk, barely anything, 600,000. We didn't cast it enough. And it's just, those kind of differences make the difference between a paladin, a healer who goes and a healer who has astronomical healing and still has shitload of mana left at the end of the day. He's just like, dude, I'm just swimming in mana. They couldn't possibly understand how a healer or a monk could go in this situation. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. They didn't get it. And they're like, oh, he's not using things like Chi Torpedo enough. Not doing this enough. Oh, he had to cast Surging Mist on the tanks. What's the paladin doing? Remember when I look at a healer's video, it's always worth bearing in mind what are the other healers doing. Now, I'm not blaming the paladin in particular here because 10-man is different than 25. Of course, I spoke to 25-man players and they were like, well, we just don't do that. If I have to cast Surging Mist, there's a huge problem. But we have these free tools and it's important that we get to use them all the time. We have free things. They don't cost us anything. We actually regenerate mana as we do it. We regenerate mana while we're doing it. We're just getting more and we're doing astronomical healing. It's always worth checking your logs and then seeing, oh, I got completely out-healed by... This is the world #1, by the way. So, yes, it is a kind of extreme example. I'm going to point that out. This is the world #1 Mistweaver versus our guy. But it's to make the obvious point here. Is if the world #1 is getting 6.6 million healing from his free spell, and we're running and only getting 832k from our free healing spell, there's a major problem there with how we're using our resources. I can watch this video endlessly and say things like, oh, okay, so here maybe you should be tracking Renewing Mist. You kind of had your uplift up and use your Thunderbrew tea on a kind of regular basis. You did quite well. But all in all, it comes down to, what do I have at my disposal? What spells do I have to use that I can just get away with and do crazy things with? And if you have an overpowered spell like Chi Torpedo, dude, you should be torpedoing yourself around like it's battleships. We need to be battleshipsing all over the place. The good thing was, overall, it actually did really, really well. And it's only minor things that are going to pick up your play. It's about understanding what our resources are. So if we have this stupidly powerful spell, like Chi Torpedo, we need to not only know about it, but be abusing it while it's there to be abused. And you can see when we did have most of the rampages up, this was a good sign. During rampages, you had the 10 Renewing Mists up, and you were doing your uplifts and so on and so forth. But the later as it goes out of there, we did see that Renewing Mists and stuff fell off. Rampage is still going down. We're down to 6 Renewing Mists here. This is the things that are really, really bad. Okay? This is bad. We can't have this. Because now it's just 4 people who aren't getting anything from our big AoE heal. It's not happening. It's all over. And then we're not sure who the hell has it, who might need it. All these kind of things really, really matter. So we need to work on this. It's all about a little bit of tweaking. This comes directly from then. It was just minor tweaking. But the big one was the Chi Torpedo, obviously. That was crazy, right? Not using that spell. Now you can see the difference. Now you can see the difference. You should be getting millions upon millions of free healing out of that spell. Whereas right now you're getting less than 1 million out of it. And using it at kind of randomly sporadic times compared to what you should be doing with it. Now go into the fight and use that all the time. And notice that your mana is always full. And you're always doing tons and tons of healing. And suddenly your whole playstyle has developed and changed in a really miraculous way. You need to add Renewing Mist and Expel Harm to your Tell Me Whens. You're good with it where it is. You can be better. Okay? You can be much better. You can really be better. The red squares. You think the red squares are Renewing Mists? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Could be. Could be. Could be. We're usually used to seeing an icon. That's fine. That's all good. But we need to be tracking those on cooldown. Get those Expel Harms because it's just the best chi generator in the game. And the Renewing Mists. Okay? Get those in there. Get those in there. And God, for the love of God, be aware of your class. Please check your World of Logs, guys. Okay? Check your World of Logs. They are freely available. All I did here was go, oh, okay, what was the fight? Oh, Megara 10. All right, what did you do? Uplift, Renew, Miss. And then I look at some obvious things. Oh, Revival was there, blah, 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 blah. And then I go, oh, what's this guy been doing then? He got the World number... Chi Torpedo? What? 98. What was my Chi Torpedo? I didn't even see it. What the... 14? 6.6 million healing? I did less than 1 million. And then it stands out to you like a sore thumb. Holy shit! I'm not using and abusing this spell as much. I can do so much more. Overall, though, your playstyle was awesome. It was really good. You're keeping on top of most things. More than happy. From everybody who said there's only a little tweaking and things like that. But other than that, it's resources. What spells do I have? Resources, Chi. How do I best get Chi? Renewing Mist, Expel Harm. And then you can roll it into there. I can roll in my Chi Torpedo. It's a whole new world of healing opens up very quickly. And it's cool. That brings us to like an hour. I did that really well. I'm so pleased. I'm so pleased that I did that. That is the workshop for today. I hope you enjoyed that. Tomorrow is Drama Thursday and Drama Friday. We're having double dramas this week because everything's going pretty well. I'm keeping us close eye. I want to do a bit of a topic on the WoW race. I'm just going to check it quickly because I'm kind of a nerd. Still 10 out of 13. Oh, sad faces. So I'm still keeping an eye on the heroic race, and we're going to kind of talk about it when it's finished. So hopefully it'll be finished soon. I think that's pretty good. Any questions about today's workshops? Any questions about today's? Okay. Remember, you've got Ghosty, who's running your transmogs this evening. Ghosty will be taking you on transmog runs. So if you're looking to get those transmogs for our competitions, or you're looking just to have a cool transmog, stick around, and Ghosty will be taking you on runs through all sorts of older content, about 7:30, I believe, in an hour and a half. And it should be pretty good. Okay? Should be pretty good. Did I get your workshop? Probably. I don't know. If you sent me an MP4 file, I'm not going to use it. It needs to be a YouTube link. YouTube link, okay. I've just done a workshop on healers. I'm pretty sure I just did that like 3 minutes ago. We should. No, fist weaving is gone. I should bring that up. Fist weaving is generally gone, dead and buried at the moment. Hopefully it'll come back. Mist weaving is just too expensive. Unless you are literally doing a fight that needs no healing, you're not really going to do it. You're not really going to do it at all. Fist weaving is kind of great. When am I doing workshops? Thank you, Dilo. Alright guys, I'm going to call it there. I hope you have a great raiding evening. It is of course reset. The new LFR is kind of fun, not too hard. You should have fun if you're going into that. It should be easy enough. I will see you tomorrow for Drama Thursday. Alright guys, so have a great day. Have a great raid if it's your reset. Go and collecting all those fat loots on your farm bosses. I wish you all good luck. And see you tomorrow. Bye.